Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with another gun gripe for you. And today we're reporting from the man cave. All right. And today's gun gripe is called the Midnight Hour. Okay.
What does the midnight hour mean, you might ask? Well, all this bullcrap legislation that comes up at the end of the year when Congress is just about to go on recess for the holidays and doesn't really get put up for public scrutiny or anything like that, and it gets pushed through. 2,000-page omnibus bills just get pushed on through, and nobody really reads them, they just vote on them. But then there's all kinds of little secret things tied into it. What's one of those secret things?
Well, the secret things are, you have to pass it to find out, though.
Oh, you do, like the healthcare.
Yeah, so you don't really get to know what's in it until you sign it.
Oh, like CISA.
Like CISA. So, guys, what we're referring to is these tactics that they've been, known to employ over the years. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on that kind of stuff. I mean, we're not legal experts in any sense, but, I think that there's definitely an informed citizenry in today's world that is paying attention to things that are going on, and they're concerned about things that are going on. And if they're not, they should be. One of the major things that we're looking at is the San Bernardino shooting and the new calls for more anti-gun legislation. Of course, a renewed assault weapons ban, which essentially is, a million times worse than the original was. The original ban sunsetted in 10 years. So it wasn't a permanent ban. Of course, if you guys
it wasn't even really a ban per se. It was a ban on cosmetic features, which was a load of crap and didn't do a damn thing to combat crime.
Right.
And that's been proven time and time again with various research and statistics that are out there. I mean, anybody can go out there and find that crime bill did nothing to affect violent crime in this country.
Absolutely.
I mean, even today, like rifles. And just rifles in general, not semi-automatics, not AR specifically. Rifles in general are used in less than 2% of crimes that are committed with a firearm. I mean, what does that tell you?
Well, the thing that these people won't tell you is that they have a really kind of clever, if you want to call it clever, I'm probably giving them too much credit, but they have this seemingly clever way of manipulating statistics to fit their motives and their interests and their political gains and everything like that. So with the San Bernardino shooting, obviously more anti-gun legislation was introduced. And of course, the reason this ties into the whole midnight hour thing is because they always do it at the midnight hour. It always comes on Christmas Eve or some legislative session that's supposed to be, this thing where people are on their way to vacation. They're going, oh, all right, I don't have time to read this crap. Or they put something on their desk that's just completely crud that no one's going to want to have to digest and sign when they're about to take a week or two vacation or something.
Well, there's a lot of things that have happened like this. I mean, the Hughes Amendment is kind of one of them. There's always these small little amendments or things like that get rolled into larger bills. The Hughes Amendment, which banned the sale of newly manufactured, fully automatic firearms to the citizenry, in order to basically register the items with the NFA and own a machine gun prior to 1986, that amendment got put into the Firearms Owners Protection Act, which really did a lot for FFL holders, not really for individuals, but mainly for FFL holders. And it kind of got pushed through, and that was a Reagan thing. Everybody who pushes, Reagan, we need to go back to Reagan. Well, Reagan was the one he was in office when that got through. He signed it. So, sure. I mean, it's just like the original Bush, the Norinco ban. I mean, he was a big part of that too. I mean, all that stuff gets kind of pushed through under the radar, just kind of under the carpet.
It's kind of a sweeping under the rug, so to speak. And it's it concerns me because, you look at things like SOPA and CISA. Okay, so CISA is this thing that, again, at the midnight hour and swept under the rug. Now what they've done is they've made people's attention become focused on, a new assault weapons ban and trying to make people become fearful and fear by. I don't think that's their intent. It's just a unintended consequence of those actions. But by doing that, they make everybody's attention get focused on, an assault weapons ban, blah, blah, blah. They throw around this assault weapon, which of course is a bogus term anyway. Mm-hmm. But then while that's going on, then they pass CISA. Which is CISA, which is basically
Patriot Act
CISA. It's an abbreviation. Of course, they use a lot of that. But look in the description box for more information if you want to read articles about it. But it's basically a repackaged Patriot Act.
Actually, it's the worst Patriot Act.
Yeah. It's completely worse. Now, I wasn't a big fan of the Patriot Act. Now, you have to look at things from a lot of different perspectives. And one perspective is, okay, so should law enforcement and all of these alphabet groups, should they have the tools that are necessary to catch legitimate terrorists and criminals and all that stuff? I mean, the answer is yes. Those people should share resources, and they should be worried about the people that you will never hear about in your everyday life. I mean, these people at these alphabet group, agencies that we tend to kind of despise so much. I mean, let's face it. There are things that these Americans do that you will never know about. Men you will never meet will go to places you will never visit, and they will kill people you will never know about.
Yep. And the media is never going to cover those.
And you'll never know about it. And they want it that way. But I'm not saying that those people don't deserve some amount of respect for what they do to protect our country. They do. So on one end, how do you make the decision of, okay, the need for surveillance and gathering intelligence against these unsavory types, and how do you balance that with the individual's right to privacy and having the government not snooping around their business?
Well, it's not only that. I mean, one big example would be like this no-fly list. Okay, so anybody can arbitrarily be put on the no-fly list
for any reason.
For any reason, and there's no due process.
Right.
That is totally against the Constitution of the United States.
Well, there's some scary things involved in it, you know.
But going kind of back to like the new assault weapons ban and all that, and the aftermath of San Bernardino and such. I mean, let's face it, San Bernardino was a terrorist act. And initially on, it was workplace violence was what was said. I don't think that I'm going to... I mean, I wouldn't have pipe bombs laying around the house if I was going to commit an act of workplace violence. I'm sorry. These people were building illegal explosives, okay? And they had stockpiles of the components to make various types of explosives such as that. They had illegal weapons as far as California compliance goes. The weapons were purchased in a straw sale and provided to them. I mean, such as that. The pistols were legally purchased, though, but the rifles were not, is the story that I've heard. And actually from a pretty good source, that the rifles were illegally modified per California compliance, which bullet butt and all that kind of horse crap. But these people had these arms, they had the motive, they had the resources to commit this act. And who knows what exactly was going through their mind? I mean, were they planning something bigger, and it just so happened that somebody pissed them off enough at this Christmas party to say, you know what, forget it. We're going back there and we're going to mow all these people down. Maybe that was the case, but guess what? It was a gun-free zone.
Right.
Okay, so that's another thing. But after that, okay, so the liberals are trying to roll all lawful gun owners into the terrorist organization now. I mean, we're all terrorists now. We're not just right-wing extremists.
Yep.
We're legitimate terrorists. And if I remember right, I want to say it was Hillary Clinton who was telling basically the entire public to call 911 if you see anybody bringing firearms or ammunition into their home. I do that on a daily basis. I mean, you think these rifles just wind up here just magically? No, I move them from my home to my vehicle, so my neighbor's going to have to call 911 to report suspicious activity. Give me a freaking break.
So what they want you to do is snitch on your neighbor for no reason. I mean, okay, there's no reasoning behind that. It's just fear. They want basically
fear-mongering.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to encourage you to live in fear, and that's just completely bogus. And I tell you, never have we had a more spineless government than we have right now.
And everything is about tolerance and political correctness and such as that. Yeah. I'm sorry, but
have a spine.
I mean, give me a freaking break. You mean to tell me that if I'm moving a gun from my home to my car to go to the range, then my neighbor is obligated because of public safety to call 911 and report suspicious activity? Well,
They can. Yeah, well,
I mean, really? Give me a freaking break.
There's a lot of things that kind of travel within that vein that can definitely relate to this video. The other day, I'm not going to give too many details, but let's just say I got a call from the school.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I got a call from the school. And they were mad that my stepson was wearing a shirt with a firearm, a picture of a firearm on it. And long story short, they were trying to give him a hard time and all this and that and everything like that. So, basically, I ended up going up there and checking him out of school. He refused to turn his shirt inside out. Okay, the authorities at the school, or I should say authorities, but the people at the school told him, "Oh, we're going to make you go and sit an in-school suspension because you refuse to turn your shirt inside out, and we've deemed that that shirt is a distraction to the learning environment." Well, the thing is that in the school's policies, it says that the people at the school have a right to determine what is considered a distraction and what's not.
Yeah,
so the problem, and what I'm getting at, is they want these children to think, oh, well, when you wear a shirt with a firearm depicted on it, that's the same as wearing like a naked girl on your shirt or depicting drugs or other illegal activities. They always want to they always want to pile in firearms along with like drugs and illegal activities and unsavory activities.
That goes back to like Operation Choke Point, and we talked about that before, where the firearms distributors, manufacturers were getting rolled into the same group as like the pornographic industry, illegal drugs, or paraphernalia, that sort of thing.
Tobacco,
whatever,
and all, liquor stores.
So
and
we're evil. We're bad for society. Firearms owners are bad for society.
Well, to finish the point, what I got so mad about, I mean, I told the officials, I'm like, look, you are setting a very bad example for our youth by but basically what made me so mad about it is it makes our young people, when things like that happen, when you get shoved into a corner in ISS, okay, or whatever, and suspended, it teaches young minds that if you do something that society doesn't like, that you're going to be stuffed in some corner, and that you're not encouraged to think for yourself, be a free thinker, and to own firearms. And that it's basically indoctrinating children to think that if you're a firearms owner or you support firearms, that in life, in society, you're going to be tucked away into a room.
Alienated.
And that is a very, very piss poor way to treat people, in my opinion.
At one point in this country, every single man in this country was a rifleman. I mean, every man in this country would stand up and defend his neighbor, his community, his country overall. We've gotten to be a country of tolerance and political correctness, so much to the point that guns are seen as some sort of
evil instrument.
Yeah, just evil instrument overall. They're not seen as a tool of good or evil. They're just seen as purely evil, and only the guns like this that are on the table here, these black rifles, these are only used for crime. They can only commit bad acts. Well, guess what? These are the same rifles that the military uses on a daily basis. And I've talked to a number of Rangers and Special Forces, and Eric has too, and they don't even run their guns automatic. They prefer to run them semi-automatic, just like what's available to civilians.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you?
And whose side do you think most of them are on?
I mean, do you think that these people, these liberals and whatnot that are out there that are trying to just sweep gun control across the board and just take away all of the tools that we use for life and liberty, everyday self-defense, recreation, hunting, you think for 1 minute that they just, oh my gosh.
You think for 1 minute that the Second Amendment's about hunting, you're wrong.
Oh, yeah.
It's about defending your life.
Hunting or sportsmanship or whatever.
It's about defending your life and protecting your country from a overreaching government.
Well, this whole discussion has just got me flustered, and we've been talking about this mess for the past few weeks, and it gets me fired up every time I talk about it. But just like this shirt right here says, arms evolve, the right does not. Muskets were used back in the day. Militiamen, the military, and civilians all had muskets. Well, guess what?
That was the highest technology at the time.
Guess what? This is the highest technology today. A free man or a free woman nowadays, there's so many women getting into the field of firearms and just gun ownership and gun rights and the idea of self-defense and being independent. That's the biggest thing, is being independent, yourself, not being dependent on some system, the police or the military or the government to take care of you. Where the hell is the police going to be if you call 911 and you've got somebody in your house wanting to do you or your family harm? Well, what the hell am I going to do? I'm going to grab my freaking rifle and I'm going to defend myself and my family.
Right.
And if it's my neighbor, I'm going to defend him.
Yep. And that, more people need to have that mentality. And, it kind of, in reading things that our founding fathers said, we have our Man Can that we sell every month, and January's theme is New Year's Revolution. I thought that was a very fitting theme because of the political stratum of the country. Not really even political so much, but just it's not. It doesn't even boil down to politics. It just comes down to the way people feel, what's in their hearts, and what they're thinking, what they have going on.
Basic
right now.
ideals.
Yeah, ideals. But the thing is that the truth will set you free, and the truth hurts. I know it's an overused kind of adage, but the truth hurts, and some people. We have this nation of tolerance, and we have this government who's all about tolerance now, and they're a bunch of spineless cowards, it seems. And they, what happened to men like Ronald Reagan? Ronald Reagan did some things I definitely am not happy about. However, he did have a spine, and he wasn't afraid to stand up and go on the TV and say what needed to be said. Mm-hmm. That's what a leader does. They say what needs to be said, because guess what? The truth will set you free.
Well, and there's a big difference between doing the right thing and just kind of sitting around and letting things slide by. I'm not even going to get into it, but the whole situation with America's relation with Israel and such right now just pisses me off to no avail. You've got a country, you've got an administration that supports a terrorist organization more than it supports one of our strongest allies. That's all I'm going to say about that. You guys can pretty much read between the lines there.
But getting back to the overall, I guess, track of this video is that the midnight hour and things getting swept under the rug. It is rampant. It has happened. With Kisa, it is law now. It's been signed in, and that's it. And the problem is what's actually been signed in is a much worse version than what the Senate originally agreed to. They're like, hey, we came to this compromise, which of course politicians and the word compromise, those things don't go together. But there was some compromise when they were originally talking about what the body of this law would actually be and everything. And now what we have is a much worsened version. And of course it has to do with privacy and with the Kisa thing.
Electronic surveillance and such.
Well, right. It gives the government the right basically to spy on anyone for any reason with no warrant and no reasoning whatsoever other than the reason that they just want to. And it's
any sort of suspicion at all. Someone from the government, from the Alphabet Agency, can contact your cell phone carrier, for example, and request records. And they don't really have to have a whole lot of proof as far as...
And they don't have to notify you. You wouldn't know that you're under investigation. The problem, and I guess maybe I'm a little naive to some degree. That in my mind, I know that there's the potential for abuse of that use of that law and doing that. There is a potential for abuse and everything. But on one end of that vein, I can see where it would have a useful thing. But the way I look at it is, if somebody is some dirtbag who is probably going to wind up dead soon because he's going to do something dumb and get shot by somebody, well, does that person have rights at that point? Does a criminal have rights? You kind of have to be careful about that, because what they're doing is... What I'm saying is what they're doing is they're trying to proactively and retroactively make you a criminal before you've become one.
Well, that's like
that is the problem. It's not Joe Blow America that they have to worry about, but this law can definitely allow them to make Joe Blow America become that bad person.
Well, that's like this
in their eyes.
That's like this proposed assault weapons ban that was introduced, I think, last Wednesday. Okay, so they want to ban the sale of all semi-automatic rifles. They want to make it more difficult for you as a gun owner who owns semi-automatic rifles.
And to buy the numbered list of the models there.
Oh yeah, they're adding they're basically putting the assault weapons ban of 94 in place, the Brady Bill of 94 back in place, adding 150 rifles or weapons to it, and basically saying that if you own an AR or any other semi-automatic rifle, it's going to be harder for you to sell that rifle on the private market. They're wanting to kind of clarify the definitions of who a gun seller is, like if you're a gun store or whatever. They're trying to clarify that definition for private collectors who sell firearms on the private market, or a private collector who might go to a gun show and set up a booth just to try to liquidate some of his collection, which is completely legal.
Sure.
And this whole gun show loophole crap, it doesn't exist, people.
Yeah.
Every single criminal who's ever been interviewed in the setting of a prison, in a prison setting where they're actually
they're already incarcerated.
They're already incarcerated and they're doing time. They say, "Oh, I don't get my guns from a gun show. I don't go there. It's too risky." I buy it from, I get a friend to go get it for me. I steal it. I get a family member. My girlfriend bought it for me.
A lot of it's straw purchases.
It is. A lot of it's straw purchases, which are illegal. But they want to bring public attention to the gun show loophole, which doesn't even exist. But I forgot what point I was getting at. But I mean, just there's so much crap just to piss you off. It's not even funny. But the whole AR thing, I mean, they're wanting to, like I said before, I mean, with San Bernardino, okay, so they used 2 AR-15s, all right? They were illegally converted anyways, not fully automatic or anything like that, but they were semi-automatic rifles, converted illegally to California compliance, used in this heinous crime, okay, against people who had no way of defending themselves because they were in a gun-free zone and they were at a Christmas party, for God's sake. Yep. But, you have to be overly vigilant. I carry everywhere. If there's not a metal detector, I'm sorry, but my firearm is going to be on me, and you better be damn assured that if I'm out with my family, I'm going to have a firearm on me. I don't care what a sign on the movie theater says, or on the door of the movie theater says, or what the hell ever. I mean, and places that like Georgia Aquarium, for example, I will not patronize the Georgia Aquarium anymore because they do not allow firearms on the premises. I can imagine why. If an errant gunshot goes off and busts a tank open and there's millions of dollars worth of wildlife that start flooding through the lobby, I mean, that's a bad thing.
No,
but,
yeah.
I mean, I completely lost my train of thought on this, but you guys get the idea. I mean, we're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
but I think you need to check it's flashing.
It's okay. There's 3 minutes left.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
All right. I understand how you feel. I certainly do. We're going to end this video on the note that I think the big point that we're trying to kind of break through to you guys in this video, and I'm sure you definitely understand it, you cannot regulate morality. And the government's goal is to regulate morality. And you can't do that. You cannot associate morality with an inanimate object. Okay? What does, however, what does determine who's going to do the right thing and the wrong thing is someone that's good, that's armed with a firearm. Okay, and that's just the bottom line. If there's someone who's going to do the wrong thing and he made that decision that day to be that guy, well, guess what? There needs to be somebody armed that's going to deal with him.
Well, guess what?
And one more thing, if someone calls the cops, guess what? Someone with a firearm is coming.
Yep.
I mean, so that's the thing that gets me. All these pansies that worry about Joe Blow America with his gun, they don't realize. I mean, so wait a minute. You need to fight a war. Who do you call? A guy with a gun.
Yeah.
You need to deal with a criminal. Who do you call? A guy with a gun. Guys, how hard is it to do? I mean, how hard is it for these anti-gun people to understand? There's a lot of guys with guns everywhere.
Well,
get over it.
What kills me about these politicians is they have their armed security. They have their personal guards. They have their armed security at the Capitol.
Yeah.
They're not in a gun-free zone. Okay? But we have to be. Why does the public have to deal with gun-free zones, which are just shooting galleries for these assholes? I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. These assholes out there. I'm going to say it again. These assholes out there who want to go and cause people harm. Why does it have to be the case that we as citizens have to be disarmed in the places that we frequent? Just because of some arbitrary law.
Well,
why is it the case? There is no common sense in that whatsoever.
You know they're not going to be.
Oh, I know they're not going to be.
They're going to have their armed security, and they're going to have their gated communities, and they're going to have their places of work that they go in every day with tons of armed guards, metal detectors, and rules, and all this crap.
Well, the thing is, if someone without a firearm gets into some kind of situation that they need help, they need protection, well, guess what? If someone with a firearm who's a concealed weapons holder is carrying, well, guess what? They might just come to save the day. Maybe. Possibly, unless they just say, you know what, I'm not messing with this crap, I'm just going to get myself and my family out of here, and I'm going to leave your ass behind.
I would certainly want that person to have a chance.
I would certainly want
That's just me. You won't see me unarmed. However, if I were unarmed, I'd want to have somebody to have that chance.
Well, if anyone who's unarmed is going to get behind somebody with a firearm, and that's the bottom line.
That's right. And a lot of this overreaching crap with the government, it really makes me think of Harry Potter and Umbridge, and it makes me think of Filch. And he's up on this ladder, and he's just trying to tack up that one last rule up there. It's just rules. That is my least favorite Harry Potter movie because I can't stand that woman.
Oh, I just want to
She makes me think of how our government is. Like she is a representation of our nanny.
I want to strangle that woman every time I see that movie. I just want to reach through the screen. I just want to choke her.
Settle down.
Sorry.
Settle down. All right, well, guys, we're going to wrap this video up. I just want to end by saying that you cannot regulate morality, and that is the goal of our illustrious government. They want to regulate morality by trying to ban an inanimate object, and that simply just cannot be the case. I mean, that's just so counterintuitive. I mean, what will, however, keep people in check is good people that are armed that can keep bad people at bay. And think about it. If a bad person is doing something horrible, okay, and someone calls the police, guess what? Someone's on the way with a gun. Okay, if you need to fight some war, guess who you call? Your military, and guess what? They have guns. When good people need stuff done, they call guys with guns.
What's the difference? I mean, what's the difference in an armed citizen out in public somewhere? Something goes wrong. Well, guess what? People who are unarmed are going to get behind that fellow with a gun, unless he just decides that.
Or they're going to run in the opposite direction he is.
Or they say, you know what? Well, I'm not going to get involved with this. I'm just going to protect my family, okay? I mean, these other people, I can't do anything for them. I'm going to just take care of mine and make sure that my own are safe, which is why I carry on a daily basis, to protect my family. If protecting someone else or a group of people is a byproduct of me arming myself every day when I get up in the morning, then so be it. But my ultimate goal is to protect myself, my wife, and my kids.
Correct. And, I would definitely encourage everyone to keep their ear to the ground on this kind of stuff. I know we kind of bounced around a lot in this particular video because it's kind of easy to do. There's so much stuff that's kind of far-reaching and outreaching that it can touch kind of a lot of different areas. I would encourage you to check out the description box below and check out some of the links that we put through. You guys can kind of research this KISA thing a little bit so you can understand what it's all about and what it could mean for you. Of course, the implications are extremely negative for the average person because it deals in our privacy, and I think that privacy is a very American thing. I believe that there is a right there. I mean, we have the right to privacy.
We just want to be left alone.
We want to be left alone.
We want the government to take care of infrastructure, and the local governments to provide fire departments to combat any sort of thing like that going on. Paramedics, the police to just take care of whatever the case is. But Joe Blow America wants to be left the hell alone and just to do their own thing. If we're not doing anything wrong, don't bother me.
Don't even talk to us.
Don't bother me about some regulatory crap or some thought police crap. I don't care about that mess. Just leave me the hell alone. Let me live my life.
I think that most Americans, and there is kind of a difficulty in that vein that we have to kind of watch out for. I mean, I don't think what Chad is implying is that, that we want to be complacent and just not give a crap about anyone. But I think that what it comes down to is, people just want to take care of their families, enjoy their Second Amendment rights, and it is a right. It's not a privilege.
I want to enjoy my rights in general. I want to enjoy my right to freedom of speech. I want to enjoy my right to the Second Amendment, to the firearms that I own and that I want to use for whatever purpose I deem necessary.
Right.
I mean, I just want to be left alone.
I think that most people just, most gun owners that I've ran into, I've never really met a gun person that wasn't a great, down-to-earth kind of person, okay? But the bottom line, guys, we got to keep our ear to the ground on this kind of stuff. We've got to make sure we're writing all of our representatives. Make sure that you're holding those people accountable. I mean, if you voted them in and they promised that they were pro-gun, you better hold them true to their word. I mean, call them. Be like, look, buddy, it's okay. That's what they're there for. They are a public servant. Their job is to take care of your needs and to make sure that your voice is heard.
Well, if they don't hear from their constituents and they don't really know what their constituents are thinking or wanting, I mean, they know who voted them in, but I mean, they don't know who's going to keep them in check. So you need to keep your representatives in check, and don't be complacent and thinking, oh, well, conservatives have a majority in the House and Senate, so, there's no new gun control or anything like that's going to get passed through. Yeah, well, there's been a lot of changes in the control of the House and Senate and Congress overall, and the presidency itself, the executive branch, over time. I mean, it flip-flops all the time. Yes. We'll have a full conservative, we'll have a full Democratic, or we'll have a split, and nothing gets done, really. I mean, it happens. So imagine if we have a fully Democratic Congress and executive branch. I mean, if an assault weapons ban comes up, who's going to stop them?
Well, I'll end by saying one more thing before we let this video go here, is the fact that I don't want people to go out and fear buy.
Oh God, no.
Okay,
That's
I
what
don't
causes
think
issues.
you know we're definitely not in a situation now where you're going to have a hard time getting ARs or AKs or magazines or ammunition or things like that. I mean, I would not encourage anyone in this video to go out and fear buy thinking the ARs are going to get banned or any of that kind of mess. That certainly was not the message of this video.
Certainly not right now. I mean, that crap isn't going anywhere, but
don't assume.
It pays to be vigilant.
Yes.
You know, for the future, because you got to think about things down the line, not just right now.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was kind of long and drawn out, as we've known to kind of go off on various tangents, but we hope you enjoyed this video. We tried to just kind of put things out to you guys in an honest and straightforward way. This is just us talking here. We're average people just like you are. We're just really well-known average people. Okay, we have many more 5 guns, gripes, facts, meltdowns, gun reviews, you name it, we do it. We're staying very busy all the time. Definitely want to thank you guys. I mean, we've gotten a lot of support from MannCans. That helps, support the channel. Any of you guys that purchase MannCans, those funds help us continue as a channel and to take on bigger and better projects. And if you're one of those people and you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I definitely want to say thank you for your support. It means a lot to us. And you're one of the reasons that people get this information and get these videos for free. We always want the YouTube videos to remain a free asset that people can access and and gravitate to. So thank you so much for the support. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Take care.